Happy Wednesday morning. Getting an early start. It's about 20 after 6 in the morning, and yet the city is already bustling and alive. Exciting day today. I'm going to a place I have dreamed about for decades. Most of my maternal grandparents' families came from the Birmingham area. Both my maternal grandfather, who just passed away a few weeks ago, and my maternal grandmother. So we're heading up to that area and we're going to walk in their footsteps. I wrote a book about the Whitaker family, which is my maternal grandmother's family, and that's where they all lived. And so I'm intimately familiar with this area where they lived. Going to go to the churches where they worshiped, where they were married, where their kids were baptized. Going to visit a few of their graves, even though they're unmarked. All around awesome day for a family historian like myself. We're headed to the Euston Road station this time. We're going to take an hour train to Birmingham, second largest city in the UK. Well, I should probably clarify that the road I was walking on was Euston Road. I think the station's just called Euston Station. It's on the other side of this building here, so we're almost there. All right, well, that was cutting it pretty close. Just got into Birmingham, got in about 10 minutes later than expected. And the train I needed to catch only runs every half hour, and I didn't want to have to wait a half hour for the next one. So I hurried to the ticket thing, got my ticket, got down here, and 30 seconds after getting down here to the platform, my train's pulling up just in time. Oh my gosh, I am so excited. My first stop today is in Cosley. My fourth great grandparents are buried at Christ Church here in Cosley. It's about a 9-minute walk from the station. And the book that I wrote on my family, the Whitaker family, I used a picture of the front of Christ Church Cosley as the cover for my book. So this one's one I'm especially excited to visit. Should be right up here on the left. I caught a quick glimpse of the top of it. There it is. Oh, this is amazing. I'm here. Oh. Kind of speechless right now. Somewhere in here are my fourth great grandparents. James Whitaker died in 1858, and Elizabeth Whitaker died in 1866. She was living in the Dudley Union workhouse when she passed away, which means she was destitute and had nowhere else to go, because that was the last place you wanted to be, and you were only there if you had nowhere else to go. And these graves are used and reused. There's maybe 1,000 or less grave markers here, but there are tens of thousands of people buried in this cemetery. So every place you see a marker, there might be 10 people buried there, maybe even more. And so James and Elizabeth are unfortunately lost to history, but they're here somewhere. And it's just amazing to be here. It's amazing to be here. I was so emotional when I first got here that I didn't even really get the numbers right. The two that are buried here, James and Elizabeth, are actually my 5th great-grandparents. Their son, Richard James Whitaker, was my immigrant ancestor, along with his son, my 3rd great-grandfather, Joseph Whitaker. Richard was born in 1819, and the year that his mother died, Elizabeth, she died in, I think, March of 1866. That was the year that the family came to America. I'm now on a very busy road, but I am in Tipton, which is where the immigrant story of my family began. Tipton is where my immigrant ancestors were born. It's where they were baptized. It's where they were married, some of them. And it was really, this is my closest connection to another place other than America. And I'm actually walking on High Street, which will turn into Wednesbury Oak Road, which is the road that my immigrant ancestors actually lived on for a time. So here in Tipton, there are a few different neighborhoods to be aware of, and the area that I just came through is known as Prince's End, and I did have family living there for a while in Prince's End. And now we're going to be coming up on where the road is going to become Wednesbury Oak Road. And we're going to get into an area as we head south down Upper Church Lane. We're going to be heading into the area known as Summer Hill. And that was where my Lambert family, I know for a fact, lived, and the Whitakers lived there for a time as well. In fact, my 5th great-grandfather, Joseph Lambert, actually ran a tavern on Church Lane. We're going to go to the spot where that was. So behind me, where that building is with the number 37, that would be where my 5th great-grandfather, Joseph Lambert, had a tavern. And we know for a fact that the tavern, at the very least, was called the Old Church Tavern. And he was definitely there around 1840 or so. Don't know how many years before that he ran the tavern. But 1841-42, he ended up testifying in a court case about a guy who had come into the tavern. And so there's a lot of detail Joseph was blind at that point, but still ran the tavern. And we also know that there were at least 4 distinct dwelling places on the property. And my Whitaker family, at least for a time, lived in one of those. When the property had to be auctioned off in 1845, the Whitakers went to Glasgow to live and to work for just over 20 years before heading to America. So I stopped at Greg's for a little sustenance in the form of some glazed donuts. And a little side note and an advertisement, Lucozade, really good. It's like Powerade but on steroids. It's great. I really enjoy it. It warns you though that it has glucose in it. So you know. In America, like, you should warn us if it doesn't have glucose in it. So it's just really cool anytime I get to pass one of these pubs like the English Oak right here. Because the pubs are just such a quintessential part of the English culture. And back in the time when my family lived here and they were running taverns and pubs, even a small area like Tipton, which maybe had a few thousand people, there were dozens and dozens and dozens of pubs. In fact, over the years, Tipton has had hundreds of different pubs. But at any given time, there would have been probably on every corner, or multiple on each corner perhaps. This building behind me is now private property. I believe it's a residence it's been turned into. But in the 19th century, it was the parish church of St. Martin's here in Tipton. And my 4th great grandmother, Mary Lambert, was baptized there in 1819, and her son, my 3rd great grandfather, Joseph Whitaker, was baptized there in 1842. Okay, it's time for some more fun. We gotta go fast. I'm a half a mile from the bus stop, and the bus leaves in 10 minutes. Otherwise, I gotta wait for a while, and it's too far to walk to my next stop, which is almost 3 miles away. So we're gonna try to hoof it up here. Piece of cake. Made it with 4 minutes to spare. That assumes the bus is even on time. This will be my first time riding a bus in the UK. Well, we're now in Wednesbury, and this is where family history gets fun. I was raised by my maternal grandparents. My grandfather, both his parents were born in eastern Kentucky. That's where his roots are. But his mother's grandfather was born in Birmingham. His name was George Greenhill, my grandfather's great-grandfather. On my grandma's side, my grandma, born and raised in Northeast Ohio, but her great-grandfather, Joseph Whitaker, was born in Tipton. And they both have roots in the St. Bartholomew's Church right here. My grandma's 3rd great-grandparents, Joseph and Ann Lambert, are buried in the churchyard here. And my grandfather's 3rd great-grandfather, a man named George Betts, was baptized here and got married here in 1787. So roots for my family on both sides. 2 people who didn't meet until their families got to Ohio, but connections in one small church here in the West Midlands of England. Awesome stuff. Been rebuilt over time, but my understanding is that the bones of this building, you know, the main part of it goes back to the late 1400s, early 1500s. Can't wait to get a look inside. The pastor of the church is going to come let me in here in a few minutes.
Miseries, some people call them. These were parts of a row of seating which would be there in the where you've got now choir seating, and they were hinged. Those are modern hinges, and they would lift up in order for the choir to stand. They would drop down for them to sit on in between. So that's the seat.
Oh, okay.
There. So these would be.
Oh, wow.
They would be hidden for most of the time.
And when do those date to? Do you think?
These are medieval.
Oh, wow.
This one is going to be, to me, I would suggest that that's from about 1400 odd. That one is the crest of the Beaumont family. They were lords of the manor of Wednesbury. Can you see the archers?
Yeah.
Then somebody peering from a castle, crenellated top. See?
Wow.
The Elephant Castle, that's a popular pub name around here. They were lords of the manor in the 15th century, so that's very old. And the third one, I can move we'll move this, not the left one, so you can get a better picture. Put it into the light. As long as your shadow doesn't cast over it. These are a meaning of holiness, birds of prey to our medieval ancestors had significance. The two church wardens and the vicar all
Each had a key.
had a key. Wow. And that is believed to be 14th century. So you're talking about 1300s odd. That ironwork and everything. You can actually open it.
Just before the Wars of the Roses.
Let's just use the storage today.
All right, now we are in West Bromwich, and that is the Church of All Saints here in West Bromwich. And in 1840, Richard Whittaker and Mary Lambert were married in the Church of All Saints. I also have 6 great-grandparents that I believe were married there. That would have been Mary's grandparents, who were married here in 1785. And Mary Lambert Whittaker also has a brother buried in the churchyard here. Gonna look around at the big cemetery, gonna try to find him if we can. His name was Samuel Lambert. I have made the pilgrimage at last. The Hawthorns in all its blue glory. Home of West Brom. My team had to spend some money at the team store. We're gonna walk around the stadium and get a little look on the outside. There's no tours and no games going on, but gonna walk around a little bit and at least look at the outside. Closest I've been.
250
All right,
feet.
just out of day,
Arrive
almost out of
at your
daylight.
destination.
I'm in downtown Birmingham now. I'm just walking away from New Street Station and also the Bull Ring, this big shopping center. Making my way a block or two away to
In
a
250
church that's
feet,
known as
arrive at St.
St.
Martin,
Martin in the Bull Ring, because the Bull Ring Shopping Center. It is my family's home, the Greenhill family. My fourth great grandfather, Joseph Greenhill, was baptized in this church in 1793, and he was married to his wife, Mary Greenhill, in 1819 in the church. So we're going to take a look. It's open till 5. Well, what a perfect way to wrap up a day walking in the footsteps of my ancestors here in the Birmingham area. Got to spend some time in St. Martin's Church. I went to the spot just a few feet away from where my ancestor was baptized and where my ancestors were married, and I had a chance to just kneel and pray. Just thank God for all the incredible blessings He's given me, and to ask Him for a few things that I've been asking Him for. But this is a day I'll never forget, especially the way it just ended. I'll never forget these last few moments.